What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with a GTII technicals, raw price action, and statistical threat of analysis on this happy Monday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, team, so we are looking at GTII on the 4-hour chart here, and I must say that we have some pressures from the broader markets. Okay, team, so when the broader markets are pumping to the upside, I mean, exponentially, that naturally puts a weight on small caps and some micro caps, right? Which is why you saw a lot of red in the in that sector, right? The small cap sectors and the micro cap, right? So I want to point out a couple things here that are indicative of a potential floor being found soon. Okay, I'm not saying right away, but I am saying soon. First of all, we have this downside here, right? And please notice how the volume is also decreasing with the downside happening, right? So that usually indicates a potential future exhaustion from that trend, okay? But if I could be perfectly honest here, I can see that the broader markets can continue to the upside even still a little bit more, but they can face a resistance that's likely to be found within maybe tomorrow or Wednesday, actually, right? So we'll go ahead and evaluate that, and I mean, we're keeping an eye on this live too, right? So consider joining the live, the live streams in YouTube. Go ahead and come by and just hang out, right? So I'm usually around. I mean, I'm trying to get my little boy's schedule situated, right? But I am usually around 8 a.m., right? So if not that, then we'll be back to around 7:15, 7:30, and 7 a.m. again eventually by next week. Okay, team. So anyway, so I want to go ahead and show you something here. Well, I mean, first of all, yeah, we were talking about the chop zones that we were completing, right? So we had essentially reached this very low zone here, and then we actually entirely skipped this entire chop zone here, and then price action just went back up to this zone here and started trading, right? So it's interesting that the price action is indicating a re-entry to this area here, and that if it is the case, then I would actually have to favor this target here for a potential reaccumulation, and there are a few signals signaling that this could be the bottom or the floor before a continuation to the upside yet again, before other validations happen, right? So let's go ahead and take a look at a few things here. First of all, I noticed a formation here being built, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and highlight it like this for your benefit, right? So just like this, I am noticing that we are within an ascending channel, right? So this ascending channel only has the first touch of the resistance so far. Okay, team. So that means that we can actually face the bottom side here in the next, maybe tomorrow early AM. I'm not sure, but we can actually see a bottom side anywhere between, I would say, this support here of 91.69 to this range here, that's 90.03 to 87.10, okay, before a bounce to the upside. We will have to evaluate this as we move, of course, but then from here, I do expect GTII to make some pretty nice legs up to the upside, right? So we just have to be reactive to whatever is happening in the broader markets. Notice that we had a lot of red. We had a lot of red in the really cheap tickers today, right? So let's just go ahead and move on to the next chart and see what we have in store for this, okay? This is the macro time frame. We're still looking okay. This is literally the same candle we've been looking at. We still have 13 days and 20 hours to close it. I do see that, I mean, hopefully, actually, by the time we close, this candle can be upside of the opening valuation from the previous monthly iteration, which is, let's see, the opening value is 98 cents, right? So we're currently sitting at 97 cents. Yeah, we'll face a little bit of a pullback here, bounce to the upside, and hopefully by the end of about a 13 or 14 day period, we can get this monthly closure closed as a bullish engulfing, which would be the green candle, right, all the way up here, engulfing the entire red from the prior candle. Right, so if that does happen, then, you know, we could be set for a pretty nice move to the upside. But we have to validate those things as we move, okay, team? So let's go ahead and take a look at some other charts to see if there's anything else that we can look at for a potential opportunity, right? So even here on the 5-day time frame, we're still not impacting the volatility, volatility versus momentum. It still has an upside pivot. I do have to say, though, that in 19 hours and 13 minutes, this 5-day candle will essentially close, and I can see it closing still above the opening value of this candle here, the prior 5-day that we printed last week, right, at 81.89. In fact, I don't see the price action reaching that level like at all. In fact, here is that support zone again. So in this case, I actually have 85.93, but I am expecting maybe 88 to 89 to around 90 cents of a pullback before an upside, right? So oftentimes this type of, this was, I mentioned this, I would say maybe 6 months ago, 7 months ago. It was a long time ago, but I was reminded of it by a very talented analyst that we have in Discord. His name is Rhino, right? So he actually put up the accumulation distribution of the Wyckoff theory, right? So this is very indicative of it. I remember posting up a very similar chart regarding that reaccumulation on Twitter back a few months ago, right? And that reminded me of it. So if we do get any further downside here, team, I'm just going to warn you, okay? If we do get any further downside here, we can actually pivot from the area of about 65 to 68 cents. Remember the 68 that we just got recently, right? So 68 or 69 is honestly going to be the range, right? But if we can, get a huge wick to the downside here and do something that would essentially be called a spring or a terminal shakeout, then we would actually be able to find a pretty nice bounce to the upside, as this is a very strong area of demand for the GTII asset. Okay, so this is all speculation until it does happen. Remember that I'm not the biggest believer of Wyckoff or Elliott wave theory, as it doesn't take into consideration current market trend and positioning of volatility versus momentum or anything whatsoever. Macroeconomic positions like what are we doing with the Fed, right? Like, they're about to increase a rate hike, and that's what I mean. It's just Elliott wave is only presented on a formation theory, right? It's same with Wyckoff, but I mean it's present, it's there. We could actually see a shakeout here, so which I would have to agree with Rhino, right? So I'm just pointing it out as a strong possibility, okay, team? So we are looking still okay. Let's just go ahead and go over the last part of the analysis here, and this is going to be the RSI. Let's see what we have, right? Because the last few times that we've been seeing the RSI has been indicative of consolidation, but that is for the RSI on GTII. It's not to say that it's the RSI for the broader markets, right? Like SPY. Look at this. I mean, we're getting literally 9 consecutive weeks of upside here. This is the TQQQ. This is the NASDAQ, the triple leverage ETF, right? So we're just getting massive upside here. And I am noticing here that in the broader market spectrum, we are getting an incline of price action, decline in volume. That is what is giving me that bearish divergence that we are going to face a pullback relatively soon, right? So I can actually see the TQQQ reach about 50.01, and that would honestly, serve as a pretty strong area of resistance, anywhere between 50.01 to 48.18. So let me just go ahead and draw it in before I, mess it all up, right? So let's just say 48, whatever, that's fine. That should do it to around 50, let's see, around 51.26, right? So we'll go ahead and leave that resistance there for our, for the future. And we'll see if we top out at there and then we face a retracement here. So as I do expect the markets to react kind of negatively when we do face the a potential 25 bip rate hike increase, right? So I'm not saying that that's going to be what's going to happen there, team. I'm just saying that that's it's just something that has a high probability, right? So I just want you to be aware of it and be careful, okay? So if we are, so let's just go back to the SPY real quick, right? So if we're noticing here that the SPY still has, actually, let's go to the daily time frame and see what's going down there, right? So if the SPY is actually suggesting still an upside to go, and let's see, the 4 hour, we're actually starting to get pullbacks here on the shorter time frames, but I wouldn't say that they're actually permanent. Particularly to this, the 6 hour and the 8 hour about to find maybe a support before a continuation to the upside. So that's telling me that we would actually see a little bit of an upside in GTII first. In price action, I'm saying we would face a potential upside here to test either the area of 98.04 or this zone right here at 102. Before a continuation to the downside, right? So let me just go ahead and see this. Yeah, we have the EMA 7 located right at that zone that we're looking at here for a potential retracement. Okay, so I guess another thing that we can do here is see from the ARCQ algorithms that I'm now releasing, right? That they're actually remastered. they are taking into consideration deeper analysis of price action, we can actually see that the DBSI is favoring the bears, right? So we're actually taking a metric of every single candle printed throughout the entire trading history of the asset here on the 4-hour, right? So it'll take that metric and it'll give you a cumulative score, and that score is actually listed right up here conveniently for you, right? So even on this 4-hour chart, we're noticing that the bears are still suggesting control, right? So, but notice that it's not an exponential difference between the bears and the bulls, which is why I'm saying that we could be facing a temporary downside to face either this area here, 87 to around 90.03, or 88 to 90.03, right, to this zone right here at about 92.13 or 91.80, right? So right around there. So this could be our total range before a bounce to the upside, and it would also be indicative of this channel support. Right, so it's just to show that there are so many things that are actually confluent against what we're talking about here in the relative price action, right? So another thing that we can take into consideration here is actually the armor indicator. So the ARQ armor is actually another indicator that we have, but this one in particular shows a display of short and long signals, right? So you can see here that we have a long signal and it actually took profit right over here, and we have a short signal currently printed, and we're about to be printing all those purple bars here from the exponential moving averages. This is also suggesting a 4-hour short signal. We're definitely looking for a potential downside continuation temporarily before a continuation to the upside, team. Okay, so just to kind of pair the price action of the broader markets against GTII, that's what I'm looking at, team. And another reason that we are seeing this potential support is this, right? The 5-day RSI is actually right at the support. In fact, there's a very little space. Right, here you go. We still have a little bit more space to the downside before we can face that SMA 14 before a bounce to the upside. Okay, team. So I just want you to be careful in the markets. That's all I'm really trying to say. I don't want you to ignore the potentials in charting because of another narrative, right, team? Just know that I've been practicing this for quite a while, and I have found some success in using just charts, okay, team? But of course, this is not to degrade anyone's strategy whatsoever. In fact, I look up to plenty of different analysts, right, and I definitely use their inspiration and their strategies alongside mine, right? So that would be a versatile trader, and that's what makes the best trader, right? It would be the ability to mask yourself and also show different faces. A connoisseur in a trade, a jack of all trades, right? So as they say. Okay, team, so I just, I think that's a pretty good place to wrap up the video. Definitely know, first and foremost, that I am not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever, team, okay? Please take that into deep consideration, okay? But with that said, I wish you well, a very, very good night, and I will catch you at the bell mañana. Adios.